Hey everyone, it's Joe with Fathom Realty and SharpEyeForHomes.com. I wanted to do a video today about one of the most frequently asked questions that I get from prospective buying clients, and that is, does it make sense to rent right now or buy? In thinking about the current market, which is low inventory and high demand because of low interest rates, many buyers are afraid to move forward thinking that there is a bubble in terms of property values. Well, let's look at that and use a tool in order to answer their question. I can't decide someone's risk tolerance, right? I can tell you that markets do go up and markets do go down. It's an ebb and flow. And you need to look at that and determine your own risk tolerance. But if you're renting right now and you're thinking about continuing that versus buying, I built this tool back in 2018 to help make evident some of the costs associated and compare it with potential equity. And let's look at that right now. So what you see here is an Excel spreadsheet that again was made in 2018. And back then the home appreciation on average was 1.38% a year in Michigan since 2000. It has gone up since then, but let's keep it at 1.38%. Okay, around here properties have gone up, the values have gone up roughly 14% on average, but it's different for every county. So let's just keep it at 1.38. Let's keep it low, right? Why not? Let's keep interest rates at 4.5%. That was back in 2018 when I made this tool. Right now, you'd be looking at 3.5%. Okay, but let's keep it high. Why not? Let's say you're thinking about buying a $200,000 home, and right now, depending on what area that you're in, that could be a 1,000 to 1,200 square foot property in perfect, condition, updated as well. And it could go up from there, in terms of pricing. Again, depending on where you are. Out of the column C here, we have home appreciation based on yearly averages. Your mortgage balance, if you had a 5% down payment, would be in column D. Interest paid would be the amount you paid in a full year at 4.5%. And then the principal that would come out of that, and your ending balance. Okay. In column H, you would have your mortgage interest deduction, and that was based on 2018. I think it may be the same, but talk with your accountant about that. And you look at your taxes that would pay, and I based the column on a 1% increase every year. Your annual maintenance of about $1,000, insurance of about $1,000. Again, these are all averages. And your housing costs, because listen, unless one has already owned a home or is homeless, in our society, you have to pay to live somewhere, right? So if you're living with your parents, fantastic. Stay with them. If they're not charging you rent, milk it for all it's worth. Why not? Save, 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 save. If you can live with it and they can live with you, that's a wonderful thing. I recommend save as much money so you don't have to pay private mortgage insurance when you get your mortgage. Unless you're paying 20% down, you pay PMI, and that is just throwing your money out the window. So if you're in a situation where you do not have to pay to live, then save. Okay, that's my professional advice. Now, let's say the situation is not so that you are staying at home for free, and you are renting or you want to buy, you need to get out. And the question is, again, whether you rent or you buy. So you have to think about, you're going to be paying to live no matter what. So you have to think about your cost of living per day. And I'm not talking about, the cost of your phone. I'm not talking about the cost of your cable TV or your internet or the electricity or the gas. I'm only talking about housing expenses here. So think about cost per day. And that would be represented in column N here. So let's say, for example, you purchase a house, and in the first 2 years you live there, you're going to be paying roughly $27,735 over the course of 730 days, which comes out to be right about $38 per day. It's kind of expensive, okay? So you'll have to earn, roughly 3 times that, right, in order to live very meagerly. So that's a $200,000 purchase price, right, with 5% down payment. Now, as time goes on, your costs will decrease because what you're doing is paying off the principal balance on the loan, and therefore the interest, not the rate, but the cost of interest will go down. Your equity will also go up as you're paying down the principal balance of the loan, and as equity or home values go up, you're building wealth. So ultimately, the cost will go down. So over the course of 5 years, you're looking at $22.58 per day, and that is staying in the same house. Now, let's go and see about if you are there for 10 years. And if the market stays the same, you're looking at $17.49 per day. Not too bad. You're basically cutting it in half from the $38 per day. So the longer you stay in your home, the less it's going to cost per day to live. Now, what about renting? Well, let's take that same $200,000 house, and you're going to be paying a little bit more to rent it than you are to buy it. Okay? Let's say the average rent for a $200,000 home is about $2,200 per month. Well, it's a lot less expensive to move into that property. All you really need is the security deposit, generally 1 month's rent, right? You'll be paying for some insurance, sure, for your personal belongings. But even with that, okay, for the first 2 years, you'd be paying $54,592, or $74.78 per day. Almost twice what it would take to buy. Now, you need less money up front. Now, in order to buy, of course, you'd have to have pretty decent credit, and you'd have to have that down payment and closing cost money. So you need more startup money in order to buy. So if you don't have that, maybe, again, finding the lowest cost housing solution for you is the best direction. So be it stay at home and save, right? Or rent as cheaply as possible, because unless you're going to be living somewhere temporarily, let's say you're on a contract employment just for 1 year in one city, then it makes absolutely no sense to rent. It's too high cost. At least not to rent the same size home that you would want to live in. What you would want to do is find the least expensive home that you can live with and rent that for 1 year. And so let's go down a little bit, and we're talking about renting. Instead of a $100,000 home, you would want to rent a $100,000 home. Okay? Because you're thinking about, let's say maybe your rent would be about $1,200 a month. Your total rent paid would, in the first 2 years, it would only be roughly $30,000, and that's with your insurance. So only $30,232 for the 730 days, or $41.41. So you could rent half the home, spend as much as you would with when buying a $200,000 home, but okay, you'd be spending roughly the equivalent. It makes sense to do that if you're in a temporary situation, only renting for 1 year, okay? Otherwise, you're paying someone else's mortgage for them. You're not building your own wealth, you're building their wealth, the landlord's wealth. So I hope this chart really helped explain it. There is no situation in renting right now where it actually makes financial sense to rent a home. It's more of a living choice rather than an economic wealth building choice. You're deciding that you don't want to deal with that $1,000 a year in maintenance budget, right? Or $1,500 or $1,700 as time goes by. You don't want to pay $1,000 insurance. You don't want to save that money for the down payment and closing costs. You would rather pay someone else's mortgage for them, build their wealth, so you don't have to have that responsibility. In the end, you won't own anything, and you'll be paying twice as much for the same type of house. I couldn't recommend that. The information speaks for itself. It's right here in front of you. And that is based on 2018 appreciation, not even 2021, where in the last couple of years we've seen skyrocketing values and lower interest rates. So I hope, again, you found this helpful. This is Joe with Fathom Realty, sharpeyeforhomes.com. Feel free to contact me. My information's up there. If you'd like any more assistance or have any other questions, please feel free to give me a call. All right, take care of yourself, take care of each other.